Hey friends, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sean from SGT Report here. I'm so gratified to have you back. Thank you so much for clicking play, guys. I know that it's getting harder and harder to find our videos on YouTube. They don't come up in the recommended column any longer. But look, we're going to continue to plug along. And to that end, I've got back on the line Bob Kudla. He's the founder of Trade Genius. And we're going to talk about all things economic and political today. And who better to do that with than Bob Kudla? How are you, Bob?
I'm good, Sean. How you doing?
No, I'm doing okay, man. Hey, in the email you sent me about today, you mentioned the term manufactured crisis, the year of manufactured crisis. And boy, I'm starting to believe you're exactly right. This coronavirus that is now spreading like wildfire throughout China, it has me concerned, but even more telling is this. On October 18th of 2019, just 3 months ago, Event 201 took place. Event 201 was a partnership between the World Economic Forum and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the Center for Health Security. And guess what? They ran a 5-hour global pandemic exercise with a virus that looked mysteriously similar to this one, Bob. You surprised?
No, and I've always joked around, in a half joking way, is that they're going to solve their pension problem by just getting rid of the pensioners. And then this thing popped up. They knew about this. They knew about this, Sean. This thing has been bubbling up for a month before it hit the airwaves. And I mean, I'm just simply shocked that the Chinese chose right when people were ready to go on New Year's to start shutting this thing down late like this. So, it's just really it's really bad news. And the interesting thing about it is that this may not be the only pandemic that's going to be bubbling up. There's the Nipah virus too, which is kind of like Ebola in the way it kills people, but it gets transmitted like a cold. And that thing's bubbling around Southeast Asia as well. And, I get to see them trying to figure out what's the best mix of toxic pestilences, if you will. But it's not the only one. I mean, look at in East Africa, they're basically, biblical locusts, right? And then you have basically Canada going offline for food, yada, yada, yada. So I just think they're just going to keep people on edge all through this election because they're trying to figure out how do they displace Trump out of the picture.
Yeah, they definitely want Trump out of the picture, don't they? And now we see John Bolton, being the treacherous traitor that he is. And, this book comes out of nowhere, and suddenly we've got more information that Adam Schiff wants to get on the record to try to impeach this president. These people have shown their true colors, and I saw a fake Fox News poll. I tweeted about this just the other day, Bob. Every single one of the current candidates, according to Fox News poll, is handily beating Donald Trump if the election was tomorrow, with Joe Biden at the top of the list with, I think, 49% versus Trump getting 41%. I mean, that's absolutely a fable.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. I looked at I just laughed. I mean, Biden's not even going to be able to beat Sanders. I think they really screwed up. Look at Wildwood, New Jersey, Sean. People are camping out to get a chance to go into the forum to listen to Trump speak. And New Jersey is not exactly Republican country, so, I think they know there's a movement underway, and the establishment I think they were too smart by half. They thought they could take Trump out at the knees, put Biden back in, get things back to a level playing field for themselves. And now you got Sanders. So they're getting hammered on both ends, and the elites and their plans are going awry.
I'm going to circle back to that coronavirus. We got off of that for a second, and I just want to play maybe a couple of sound bites for you guys here from this Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security in partnership with the World Economic Forum and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, this thing that took place back in October. Because get this, Bob, at the beginning of that meeting, they were talking about people being very dubious now about vaccines. That was a problem for them that they really want to address. They want to address fake news, because they were blaming fake news for people no longer trusting vaccines. And then they basically started to talk about this pandemic that would be rolling out.
On behalf of our center and our partners, the World Economic Forum and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, The goal of the Event 201 exercise is to illustrate the potential consequences of a pandemic and the kinds of societal and economic challenges it would pose.
Now, this simulation also includes news reports, which were fabricated just for this exercise. Please keep that in mind because they are eerily similar to reports we are currently seeing regarding the real-world coronavirus outbreak.
Well, let's circle back to that. You wrote in that email, the year of manufactured crisis. What did you mean by that? The year of manufactured crisis, 2020.
Yeah, so I think what they're trying to do is they're going to try to keep people on edge. And that way they can, people that aren't, it's an old sales trick. If you can keep people off status quo, you can move them. And I think what they're trying to do now is they're trying to get people in motion so they can herd them. And so, this coronavirus, like I said, it was nothing. Then all of a sudden it became this huge thing. And it's killing less people than the flu does. And so, then if that doesn't work, they're going to probably try something else. And in the politics now, they're trying to say, well, let's get witnesses. Okay, let's get subpoenas. Let's drag this thing out to April, and primarily to keep, Sanders people in the Bay and to keep Trump's people agitated and worried. And then these economic things are just going to keep popping up too. The Federal Reserve, we had that market sell-off, Sean. It's because the Federal Reserve pulled money out of the market last Friday. So, they have this power to just create this these calamities that they can turn on and off. And I think the news media then tries to then build them up and try to use the wildfire of social media, and then they block dissenting views. Look, you don't hear anything on the coronavirus today. Nothing. It's like it's never happened. And, how can that be?
Yeah, well, actually, I think that's very telling, Bob. The media blackout about the coronavirus in this country. I mean, I really wonder if they are concerned about a panic that may be breaking out in China. The reports are very alarming, especially the information coming out of Wuhan, China. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about the stock market. What do you think this could do? What's happening in China if it really truly becomes a pandemic that is spreading like wildfire? That could really devastate the Chinese economy, and I wonder if you see that spilling over here. A little bit about the stock market. We saw a rebound now today as we're having this conversation. You're right. At the end of the day, it's the Fed. They pull the strings. Pull money out, stock market goes down. Put money in, stock market goes up.
Yeah, so I tell people, look, avoid and don't worry about any of the other news. It's noise. The Fed is what you have to look at. However, the coronavirus is the black swan or the black bat or whatever you want to put to it. But here's my view on the coronavirus. China's in big trouble. They can't get this thing under control. They're shutting down factories. Okay, that will translate into the U.S. So people need to just keep their eye on Apple stock. Okay, Apple's trying to get their suppliers now to overproduce because I think they understand that they're going to need to build a big inventory in order for them to get past Foxconn shutting down, J&J shutting down. If Shanghai shuts down and people don't go to work, it's in big trouble. German manufacturing is in trouble. But for the United States, what will be the problem, Sean, is if it really happens, look, people aren't going to go out to eat. Are you going to go to Soup Plantation to go out to eat? Are you going to go to a movies? Are you going to go to a baseball game? And because our economy is so service-driven, is that I think if this pandemic comes to the shores here and people get sufficiently scared, then you're going to see a really, really, really strong sell-off in the market because people are going to pull back into their homes in order to avoid this thing. So I think right now, news has to get worse, to screw up the stock market, screw up the economy. But if it does, it'll be a 3-month event. Vaccines will be out after that. The weather will get warmer. Viruses don't transmit very well in warm weather. And so that's what we have to watch out for. Between now and probably the end of April is an area that something come out of the blue of all of a sudden this thing just blooms into the United States and hospitalizes a lot of people.
All right. Well, look, here's the thing. I think they hit the nail on the head at that forum talking about people no longer having full faith in vaccines. So now we see the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation offering $9 million in seed money for a pharmaceutical company in Philadelphia to work on a coronavirus vaccine. That is not something I'm going to want to inject into my body or the bodies of my kids. I'll tell you what, man, it's just, they've lost the faith. The people, the elite that run this world have lost the faith of the people at this point, at least those of us that are awake. Hey, one thing I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Trade Genius. You've been a supporter of SGT Report for a long time. Why don't you tell people about any specials you have running? I know that you guys have had 65% winning trades since July 1st, 2018. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you. So, when we do a Trade Genius, we try to educate and we inform people, and we do it two ways. We provide training courses and personal coaching. But in addition to that, in addition to helping you, learn how to fish, we actually throw you some fish too. We have trading rooms. We provide trade signals, and we try to help people make money nearly every day in the stock market. So what we've done is we've created an algorithm, Sean, that gives us buying pressure and selling pressure. And the most obvious one people see when they trade with us is we have one called the money maker and the other one called the profit ribbon. And those things are available for people to have on their computer, trading, in the software that they can trade anything they want, even stuff that we're not following. And so what we've done is we put together a series of bundles for people that if you're a beginning trader or you're an experienced trader and you like to trade the stock market, cryptocurrencies have come back to life again. We have bundles for that. And then we also have bundles for people that want to add coaching or want to trade some more advanced things like options and futures. So we put together a package of all those. And like we always do for your listeners, Sean, we pre-discounted those very heavily if they take advantage of them by Friday, the 31st of January. And then if they want to just pick and choose what they want to purchase, they can just go and hit winter as a special for a promo code, and then pick and choose anything that they like that we offer.
All right.
So thanks for letting me share that.
Yeah, thank you. That's excellent. Okay, I'll put the link below the video, guys, if you're interested in checking out Trade Genius. All right, now let's talk a little bit about gold, silver, and palladium. What is $2,500 an ounce palladium telling us, Bob? My friend SRS Rocco just put out an excellent video about gold and silver, and his prediction is that what we're seeing in palladium, we will be seeing soon enough in gold and silver.
Yeah, add platinum to it. Our best trade of 2019 is trading PLG. We traded over and over and over again. I've sent you charts in the past. And today, we got in again today, and it was up another 11% since we got in on it. They're losing control, Sean, of platinum and palladium first. What the elites and the bankers like to do is they like to short these markets, but they naked short it, which means they sell something they don't own in order to suppress the price, in order for them to buy things cheaper and then take advantage of it and profit. Well, palladium and platinum markets aren't big enough for them to do it. And if there's any kind of demand or supply imbalance against them, prices shoot up. So palladium rocketed it, platinum rocketed it, and gold and silver are a little bit bigger markets. And when they lose control of that, like they did in 2011, silver shot up over $30. And so, you will see that again in the silver market and the gold market. For sure, we're going to new highs in gold sometime this year. And at some point, we're going to hit all-time highs again in silver, and we'll be back to that $50 mark. Just because they can't find the supply once the demand-supply imbalance comes into play. And that's just what happened with palladium and platinum. They've shorted so much. There's so much leverage in that market, Sean, that any kind of demand push for those precious metals around the world or a supply constraint will set these things rocketing just overnight. And that's why we're always trying to push our way into the metals and the miners, and we mostly trade the miners. So those are the ones where you get the leverage, because they trade at 4 to 8 times the movement of the underlying metal itself. So silver's moving 10%. Your miners are going to be moving at 40 to 80%. Same with gold.
All right. We'll keep our eye on it, and we're going to talk about Bitcoin here in 1 second. I just want to let people know that SRS Rocco that I just referred to is our friend Steve St. Angelo, and I posted that video about gold and silver and palladium on thephaser.com. It's right at the top if you guys want to go find that. And the other video you're going to want to watch that I posted at the Phaser is the one I mentioned about the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security in partnership with the World Economic Forum and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in that pandemic exercise. That video was titled, Did Bill Gates and World Economic Forum Predict Coronavirus Outbreak? And it's a very, very compelling video, so I suggest you watch that over on thephaser.com. Okay, $9,000 Bitcoin. When is the halving coming up? And then I have a follow-up question for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming up this summer, and that means what the halving means is that the supply gets cut in half of any new growth in the inventory of Bitcoin for the work being performed. So if the demand remains constant and the supply gets cut in half, people are expecting a pretty pronounced move. You know, I mean, the low end of 35,000, the high end 100,000, and up. And we're in the camp that will break new highs in this year. So that's our view on Bitcoin, and it's been strong. And if people like to trade Bitcoin but don't want to open a Bitcoin account, you know, there are stock like GBTC that people can buy and participate. And that thing popped again today too. So, you know, we can help you trade it no matter if you want to trade cryptos or trade it as a stock. So,
okay.
But we see all systems go on it right now, Sean.
All right, GBTC I'm familiar with, and I know there's always a premium on that. And I've seen people in forums and comments and stuff say, why would anybody pay a premium for Bitcoin? And the point that I've made out repeatedly to people is that GBTC can be purchased with 401k plans and IRA money and stuff that's tied up, right? That you can't get out. You can't get that cash to go actually buy Bitcoin. So I think that to me is one of the strong cases for GBTC is it gives the opportunity to have exposure to Bitcoin in those types of locked up IRAs, et cetera. All right, let me ask you this. An 87-to-1 silver to gold ratio is lunacy. So again, we can make the case for silver, but we know the manipulation on the COMEX is so onerous that silver's mired at 18, 19 bucks. I don't know when that's ever going to break out. Again, Steve St. Angelo is predicting it will happen. Making the case here, though, for Bitcoin. I talked to Lynette Zhang recently, and I was trying to make the case that I'm starting to think that Bitcoin is digital gold in the sense that the elite would like to have some because it makes it real easy to transport their wealth anywhere around the globe in an instant, bypassing the Fed and bypassing all of those pesky governments. In your view, do you think Bitcoin is digital gold? And are these people like Max Kaiser and others who are predicting $100,000 Bitcoin at some point in the future, are they off their rocker, or do you see that as being a possibility?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, you know, Bitcoin to me is really your protection against a collapsing banking system. It's really one of the few places you can put your money that is not tied to the banking system. So you're foolish if you're not exposed to it. And look, you know, if Bitcoin's at $9,000, 100,000 is a 10x move. We see these moves all the time in the stock market. So it's not like these things can't happen, Sean, just as a general, you know, push into a mania on a demand impulse. So yeah, I mean, it's absolutely possible. You know, the only question people always ask then is if it's 100,000 Bitcoin, what does the world look like? So, you know, but I think it's you have to hedge yourself with Bitcoin. You have to hedge yourself with silver miners. And I think those are the things that are going to protect you, you know, look, you know, gold and silver protect you against bad governments and Bitcoin protects you against bad banks. And that's our view on it. And we agree with you. And I agree wholeheartedly with your GBTC comments. And we look at those premiums too. When they come in, you know, those are opportunities to buy. When they spread out, then you take a little bit off the table. So Absolutely.
Okay. Well, look, you just said, what does the world look like with $100,000 Bitcoin? And I've heard that so many times about silver. What would the world look like with $500 silver? Guess what? $2,500 palladium, and no one cares. And $2,000 Amazon stock? No one cares. So what my point has been with Bitcoin and silver and gold, much higher prices in silver and gold, is that at some point, this money that's wrapped up in the stock market is going to want to go somewhere else. And I think the smart money will get out of the stock market before it pops. And of course, everybody who's been predicting the popping of this bubble in the stock market has been wrong. Many a hedge fund has been run under with trying to bet against this market, right? Don't fight the Fed. Is that what they say, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, look, you don't fight it. You just move your money. You know, there's a lot of people are trying to short the market. Just move your money. You know, if you're an Apple stock, you know, is Apple going to go to 300 to 600? Is it going to become a $3 trillion company? No. You know, but can gold move up 50%? Yeah. And so just move your money over to where it's undervalued. I mean, that's how the smart people have made money eons, right? You take off the overvalued and you put it to the undervalued. And silver and cryptocurrencies and gold and the miners and platinum and palladium, look, you know, those things can double without batting an eye. And so, look, I'll take 100% on my money.
Yeah, I would too. I wish I could get you to manage my money. That would be the way to go. And the Trade Genius alerts, though, are about as close to that happening as it's going to get. I understand. But if people want to learn more, again, it's tradelikeagenius.com.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll put that link below the video. Anything else you wanted to hit on today? I'm really concerned about the coronavirus thing because if the reports coming out of Wuhan and the doctors in Wuhan, which are far more scary reports than we're hearing from the Chinese government, if those reports are true, this really could be the black swan that we've all been worried about, especially if it spills into our shores. And I think there are 5 or 6 confirmed cases now in the States. So it is an issue.
Right. And not too far away from me. So, you know, my view is just, you know, watch Apple stock and watch McDonald's stock and watch Starbucks stock. Those are kind of will be bellwethers of people getting a little freaked out about the, you know, what I would call the public places kind of phenomenon with the coronavirus, and just watch how it spreads here in the U.S. They have to report the cases, Sean. You know, it's not like China where they can just do a total lockdown, but in the U.S., the CDC will report these cases, and so you just have to watch how it spreads here versus what we're hearing in China. But that's all we really can do. I have no idea. I put a video out myself and I said I think the cases are 1,000 times the level that they're talking about in China, because you don't build 2 hospitals in 2 weeks, you know, if you think you have it under control.
Yeah, that's right. They are literally trying to build 2 hospitals over 6 or 7 days, 2,500 beds. They're calling it a mobile hospital. I can't imagine what that would look like. But the Chinese, man, when they put their minds to building something, they can put that stuff up pretty quick. All right. Well, and again, last word on this. I played a soundbite from our friend Chris Martinson, and he's got a PhD in pathology, and he's reporting, as others are, that the infection rate, meaning if you walk into a room of 10 other people and you have this virus, how many people might be infected? I forget what the rating is. I think he called it a no rating or an R rating. I forget, but a 1 or less means this thing will die out on its own over time. Anything above a 1 is very concerning. They're saying this thing might be as high as a 3.8, meaning one person infected could infect 3.8 other people out of 10. And that's the problem. That's the stuff Hollywood scary movies like Contagion are made of. So
that's right.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on this story and so much more. Nice to have you back here in 2020, Bob.
Yeah, I would say Happy New Year, but my goodness, you know.
Yeah, we're zooming into February here before you know it. Okay, guys, if you want to take advantage of those Trade Genius deals, the link is below this video. Our guest has been Bob Kudla from Trade Genius. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Sean.
All right. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. You know how much we do appreciate it, sincerely. And for real news 24/7, you can visit us directly at sgtreport.com. God bless. Bye-bye.
Well, I guess that Kaiser got a hold of our medical establishment for permanent. Kaiser Permanente brought us to for-profit medicine. What I'm pointing out here is there's been a game afoot, and it goes way before our lifetimes. It goes way before our parents' lifetimes. It goes way before our grandparents' lifetimes.